Your Honor, you might be thinking this is the most detestable person in the DC universe, but please attempt to put on your blindfold and give our client, Auggie Smith, aka the White Dragon, a fair judgment. Because beneath the armor, beneath the arrogance, and yes, beneath the ideology, lies a tragic story about legacy, control, and surprisingly, a loving father.
Your Honor, objection. I'd like to strike the words of my co-counsel. The last words from the record, please. We are not trying to say that he's a good father. He's also not on trial for being a good father, so let's not muddy the waters with rash statements like that. We are saying, though, that our client is completely innocent of all criminal charges. I think that goes without saying. I'm looking across at the jury right now, and none of them seem to be indicating to me with their facial expression that they disagree. It's pretty much unanimous already, but just for the fun of it, let's go through some of the arguments here. He's accused of a handful of crimes, a small handful of crimes. And it really makes you wonder, even when you see the things he's accused of, why exactly he gets so demonized. You'd think he's out there committing murders on the street for all to see. It's just not happening.
Yeah, so the first crime I think we can pin on him, or I should say that this justice system, this unfair justice system, wants to pin on our client, is child abuse. He has two sons, Chris and Keith.
Yep.
He has a rough style of upbringing, but does it come to the level of he should be charged and do time for this? I mean, the clear answer is no, Your Honor.
So this goes into several different trajectories, right? It kind of branches off into several different areas where this quote-unquote abuse happens. We see when he's a child, this is one of the main instances for Chris's abuse, right? We see that Chris has a guy tied up. He is crying. He takes a screwdriver and stabs this guy and kills him, seemingly at the request of Auggie, right? Or at least Auggie seems proud of his son for
very pleased.
Very, very pleased. And this guy is absolutely tied up. He's completely defenseless. But I'd like to just say, we have no idea what the story is here. There has been no evidence submitted, no forensic record showing who this man was, what their relationship was prior, if there was any relationship. If this person was just an innocent man who had no relation, did nothing wrong, wasn't asking for it at all, I have a hard time believing that wouldn't have been evidence presented to us. Auggie Smith is an ex-member of the Aryan Empire. You're telling me that somebody that high profile and that type of institution would not have the book thrown at them? You would have celebrities from all corners of the earth bringing evidence against this guy, and there's none. We know nothing about this man. So yes, it is true that Chris Smith killed this guy, and it was under the care of Auggie Smith. But let's face facts here. Did Auggie Smith kill this guy, or did Chris Smith kill this guy? Sorry. Forgive a man for being proud of his son for taking probably revenge on a very, very evil man.
If what we know, this guy is some sort of child predator that Auggie picked up and now is having basically reverse action committed on him, where he's having him being tortured by a small boy. So, I mean, this could be justice with given enough context. But, Your Honor, we don't have the context to this. All we know is Chris is having a difficult time listening to his father's simple instructions about inserting the screwdriver into this unknown man's stomach.
This is a stretch, Your Honor. I think we both know that. We can throw this one off the table. Okay, it was pretty gratuitous to bring this as a charge.
What is Auggie's goal here? It's to build a superhero, basically, for his son. I mean, I wish I had a father like this. Anyone in the jury wish their father would make them into a superhero, make them the best they could be? No, instead I'm just some idiot making YouTube videos,
Yeah, I mean, we had great fathers, okay? We did, but nothing like this. Which brings us to the next area where the supposed child abuse took place, and this would be seemingly the cockfighting that went on between Keith and Chris. It seemed like Auggie was hosting a kind of underground tournament-style fighting for his kids, where people could get their rocks off watching two kids beat the hell out of each other, injure each other, potentially kill each other. I think that is a wild misinterpretation, and I think the reason it's such a misinterpretation is because we do happen to see an accidental death take place during one of these fights, during one of these brawls that he is hosting. I don't think anybody actually took a step back and questioned, is there another reason why these things might be going on?
I mean, look around them. Is there that many employment opportunities for Auggie to go and get? He sees his kids already fighting in this pit probably before this even happened, and was like, well, you know what? Everyone kind of circles around this area to watch my kids fight. I might as well make some money off it. Auggie, at worst, is just an entrepreneur taking advantage of a situation. I guarantee you, even behind the scenes, Auggie has mentioned to his sons, hey, This time Keith goes down. Chris, you win. They basically
It's all a
fix
show.
this whole thing and make all this money off it. This WWE and pro wrestling is like in their veins here, right? And Chris took it a little too far. And for Chris later on to blame this on his dad, right before he kills his dad too, he says, "No, you killed Keith." That's ridiculous. No, Chris, you killed Keith because you punched him right in the face way too hard. And why you guys punch each other in the face? Like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah, keep it below the neck. That's 100% true, but I think there's a crucial part of evidence that everybody is missing here. Let's not forget, this guy loves old action movies. He's a boomer, okay? He loves Rambo. He loves Karate Kid, especially Karate Kid. He's Italian. Ralph Macchio is Italian, so that kind of makes you question the whole Aryan Empire thing too. Okay, so that's just a little more.
His idol is Italian,
right? There's something up there, or Miyagi as well. I mean, that's an Asian man. Say what you will about this guy.
Yeah.
I kind of question his racism, but the point being, like you were saying, there's not a whole lot of employment opportunities where they are. They're kind of out in the sticks, right? Wouldn't it be nice if he could kind of model his life after this really feel-good place that he goes to when he watches these movies and starts his own dojo, right? Starts his own dojo, but it's not going to be karate because that's kind of like very precision. He's not trained in karate. He's trained in kind of military-style combat, right? Maybe a little Krav Maga here and there. But these kids are not going to be able to be advanced enough to learn that, so you got to start them in a sort of simpler frame, like boxing, right? Just straight up boxing. Eventually, when the time comes for them to open their dojo, he has to have a couple of students that are presentable, right? Like, look at this example of my teachings. I think that you should feel confident sending your kids here. They'll turn into an absolute specimen like my son Chris or Keith. And these guys are probably very well trained before this point. So when Auggie is seated at the sidelines telling him, like, Chris, hit him harder, whatever, get him. Again, these kids, they should know what he's talking about. They're very trained. They're fine-tuned instrument. And then let's finally address the elephant in the room. When Keith dies, it's not because Chris hit him too hard. It's because he hit him in just the right way. A Murphy's Law type situation. He trips, he falls backward, he hits his head, yes, because of the punch, but it wasn't that hard of a punch, and it just tweaks something in his brain. He starts having a seizure. This could happen to literally anybody. Any one of you in the jury right now could have a little brain aneurysm and they're ready to burst, and all it would take is a little love tap to the head like Chris gave his brother Keith.
And did we ever get an autopsy on this child's body?
No.
Do we know it was only because of this punch, how he hit the floor? For all we know, because before this scene, we saw Keith and Chris rocking out to heavy metal music, and they talked about smoking weed every day. Your Honor, weed is literal poison.
It's illegal.
It will do this to you. So the only other thing we see Auggie do that is considered a crime is attempt to kill his son Chris. Now, this only comes after the fact. Chris and his little band of hoodlums that work for the government has framed Auggie for a crime he didn't commit, threw him in prison, and then they also had tried to get Vigilante to instigate a fight to get Auggie in maximum security. Augie's being law-abiding. He tries to get out of jail the proper way, goes through the right courses of action to get out of there. And when he gets out, he's not happy, and he wants to go talk to his son. I mean, that's all he's trying to do is trying to get a one-on-one with his son, and his son is running away with highly trained government officials.
100%. And let's think about back to that scene when Peacemaker does go and visit, when Chris goes and visits his dad. Of course, he's hostile toward Chris. Okay, remember, he's not on trial here for being a good or a bad father. There's definitely room for him to grow in that department, okay? His social skills in the parenthood area are a little bit lacking, but he wasn't downright hateful until when? Until after he finds out that Chris essentially betrayed him. And now Chris is trying to patch it up and be like, oh, it wasn't really me. It was just my entire friend group that I was a part of, and I was there the whole time, and I kind of okayed it. It's like, no, dude, come on. No one's buying it. I am your father. I gave you a whole childhood. I built you up. Like, you're definitely not starving. You're in great shape. Your joints are perfect. Your muscles are perfect. You look like a god.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And you try to throw me in jail for a crime that you committed? A violent crime that will land me here for the rest of my life, potentially, Of course, you're going to lash out and say things that you don't mean, right? Like, I never loved you, boy, not even one time. He didn't say that exactly, but that was basically the sentiment, right? And then after he gets out, he never gets an apology really from Chris. Like, he gets one a little bit or whatever, but it was kind of a pouty little apology. Like, oh, it was for his own benefit. He gets out. Of course he wants to kill him. And by the way, did he kill him? We have no idea if he was really going to go through with it. We actually don't have any idea, okay? That's conjecture.
Yeah, it's he also mentions it right before he allegedly attempts to kill his son. He mentions Abraham. For all he knows, God's going to come in, and if God doesn't want him to die, he's going to come in and sweep in. And clearly, God did not want Chris to die because his idiot friends come in and try to save the day. Can anyone here in this jury, in this courtroom, say that Chris is a good guy, like that we should be defending Chris, that Chris doesn't deserve to die? Chris was holding on to a butterfly that came out of a elected official's head after he was too big of a loser to actually assassinate him. But okay, you're too big of a loser to assassinate him. Okay, I get it. But then he keeps the butterfly, and this butterfly actually ends up causing more issues because he held on to it versus just killing it right away. This guy is causing a ton of issues for our society and the world. They're basically risking the world from being taken over by these butterflies.
Absolutely. And let's just like put this all in perspective too. It always comes down to like the bigoted nature of Auggie, right? Or it's just like the racism or the homophobia or whatever. He knows after all of this time with his son, he brings it up. Chris is a full-blown adult. He's in his 40s, late 40s. He knows about the very, very anti-Christian behaviors that Chris has been involved with, right? Because Auggie is a Christian man. He's basing his worldview on like a very extreme version of Christianity, right?
I don't know what denomination, but it's somewhere in there.
Yeah, but it's something. It's the Aryan denomination. But he is very homophobic. He says it. Chris has had sex with men. It is brought up in the show, okay? He did not try to kill him for that. He did not even hate him for that. His only source of hate is killing his other son, okay? Killing his other son, going a little off the rails. Did Auggie play a part in it as like the father being in the household? Yes, of course he played a part in it. That'd be like if a child killed their sibling with a butter knife and now you're trying to throw the parent in prison because they stock the house with butter knives. You know, in case somebody maybe wants to have some buttered toast. It's like, sue them. I'm so sorry that we keep a otherwise innocuous object or we participate in an otherwise innocent activity. And it went a little rowdy one time. The point is, he doesn't hate his son for any other reason than the murder. And he didn't even attempt to kill that son until his own life was now at risk in front of his face. He sees this guy trying to manipulate events to throw him in jail for the rest of his life. What's he supposed to do?
Yeah, and up to this point, did we really think that Auggie was that mad at Chris? You know, he made helmets for him. He took care of his bird, Eagly. You know, there's a lot of things pointing in the direction that Auggie still gives Chris, or he still does care about Chris, and that he's not totally written him off. But after he's being arrested by the government, who he literally hates for fake crime that his son is associated with, I mean, I don't know. Like I feel for Auggie here. You know, like what else are you supposed to do? You try to raise your boy right, kills your other boy, and now he's framing you for murders you didn't commit. It's like I'm mad, and you know, I don't care if I get
have to go.
Yeah, I don't care if I have to get the boys together to go after him.
Yeah, I know. Give him, you know, scare some sense into him, right? Scare some sense into him. We're not going to kill him if he dies in the process. You know, well, maybe, but that didn't happen, did it, Your Honor? Did it, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Let's try to keep our heads on straight here, okay? Let's try to calm down. But I do want to reiterate again, think about the things that Auggie, on a moral level and an ethical level, completely disagrees with. He's a very bigoted, racist man. He does not like black people. He does not like gay people. He does not like Jews, whatever. And he knows that Chris is actively hanging out and fraternizing with all of these people and doing these acts that he would think are debaucherous. And like you just said, he took care of his pet eagle when Chris was going to be in jail for 30 years. He was going to do this for 30 years. 30 years.
Yeah.
That is insane. And you know how long it would take to build one of those helmets? And you know how hard it probably was for him to build one of those helmets for his son, knowing his son was probably getting plugged by another guy? Not that we care about that, but Auggie sure did.
Now, the elephant in the room here, Your Honor, is that our client has associated himself with the Aryan Empire. You know, you don't have to agree with anything they say. You can find it detestable. But, Your Honor, for all we see on screen, these guys are all bark and no bite. Their actions should speak louder than their words. And their words, though you may think are horrendous, their actions are what? They're attacking, you know, we have his father, Auggie, killing a white guy at the very onset of Chris's trauma. That's not a minority. It's some, like we said, we might be some nasty little child predator. The people he goes after when he leaves the prison is he goes after, they're all white people there when the ambush. Not once have we seen them attack a person of color or a minority or any sort of, when you want to say, protected group because of their identity. And I would like to remind everybody here that, as another DC hero once said, it's not what you say, but it's what you do that defines you, right? And what has Auggie done?
Yes, it's actions speak louder than words, right?
Yes.
It's simple as that. It all boils down to that exact thing. Do you disagree with the things he says? Absolutely. Do you or me or anybody in the jury, do we all disagree with the general ideology of the Aryan Empire? Almost certainly. Almost certainly, we do not agree with basically everything that they think and believe. But guess what? They might throw a mean-ass barbecue. They might throw a mean-ass barbecue. Dude, it might be great. It might be a great little suburban area. You know, you go over, they can make some dogs. There's no minorities there, okay? To be honest with you, I don't really care if there are minorities there or not, all right? It doesn't really make a difference to me. If it's a fun time, I might go. If he starts to bring up his political opinions, I might just be like, guy, can we talk about something different? You know what I mean? Listen, I hang out with people that I disagree with their politics all the time, okay? And Auggie, he may be no exception. I'm just saying his friends might not even all agree with him. I think we need some more character witnesses in this trial. Unfortunately, we don't have any. I think really that's what's sending him down the river.
Judo Master, who's looked at as a villain, is not looked at nearly as evil as Auggie Smith, because Judo Master actions, when we said actions speak louder than words, Judo Master beats the shit out of people after they just make a joke about
kills
him being,
people.
Yeah, kills people, was going to align himself with the butterflies taking over with that senator, whoever. You know, this guy was potentially on track to being your overlord, or at least associated with him. Auggie Smith, he just has a weird dimensional portal in his house, and he cosplays with his boys. I mean, that's Your Honor, that's what it looks like here, according to actions here. That's the plain, simple difference.
Don't attempt to send this man to prison for the rest of his life on false pretenses, and all he's going to do is sit in his house on his recliner screaming obscenities at the TV. That's probably all he's going to do.
And Your Honor, let me submit this to the court that this should be a mistrial based on the theory of alternate universe influence, that we don't know who the independent and dependent variable is, but Auggie Smith clearly has a reflection in another universe. And for all we know, this man that sits in front of you today, that was in season 1 of Peacemaker, is only a reflection of another white dragon, Auggie Smith, out there. So his actions are really not up to his choice, and he's really just a reflection of that other individual.
You know what's funny to think about too? That supposedly good, heroic Auggie in the alternate reality, we see him kill so many more people in like 10 seconds than we ever see or hear about even the quote-unquote bad Auggie kill in the main timeline. Your Honor, case closed.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and smash that like button.
Or not, we don't care.